Hello everyone, I'm MVL and welcome to another episode of Video Game Pickups. First up we have an unlicensed PS2 game, Classic Games from MaxPlay on the PlayStation 2. This is a collection of 10 homebrew Game Boy Advance games emulated on one PS2 disc, released exclusively in Europe. It includes Bounty Hunter X, Chopper 2, Dragon Tales 3, Invaders, Jetpack 2, Loop the Loop, Paddle Panic, Pop'em, Proximania, and Super Power Shot. Bounty Hunter X is a shoot-'em-up game which is horizontally scrolling. Chopper 2 is a puzzle game where you have to control your helicopter momentum carefully and fly through hazards. Dragon Tales 3 is a puzzle game where you rearrange tiles to make a picture. Invaders, or From Above as the title screen actually says, is a shoot-'em-up game and a clone of Space Invaders. Jetpack 2 is a micro-platformer where you battle up to 4 players on screen with various weapons. Loop the Loop is a puzzle game like Quicks, where you encircle fruits and enemies for points, avoiding enemies to proceed. Paddle Panic is a bat and ball game, and a clone of Breakout but with extra paddles on the side of the screen like Pong. Pop'em is a puzzle game and a clone of Pang, known as Buster Bros in America. Proximania is a shoot-'em-up game where you move back and forth, hunting enemies. And Super Power Shot is a puzzle game where you knock a ball into objects. So, there was obviously never a Volume 2 after this, as this collection is actually the only unlicensed PS2 release that I know of. Most likely because many of the games in this collection are unlicensed clones of other existing games. This collection was also released on the GameCube, where it is the only unlicensed game on that platform. The GameCube version actually has in-game music and sound effects for each game, whereas the PS2 version just has generic music playing over the top instead, because they probably couldn't figure out how to do Game Boy Advance sound emulation on PS2. But if you look in the game files of this disc, you'll see everything is there, including the game ROM files being named after silly pop songs for a joke, and a complete unused pirated ROM file of Metroid Fusion left on the disc files, most likely used for testing purposes, inside of a folder named Delete Me. Anyway, that's MaxPlay Classic Games 10-in-1 Volume 1 on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Dodgeball on the PlayStation 2. This is a dodgeball game, unsurprisingly, known in Japan as the Dogeball World Championship Dodgeballer, and originally released as part of Japan's Simple 2000 series of budget games. Like some other Simple 2000 series games, this game got released in Europe and was simply retitled Dodgeball here. This isn't a sports simulation game, however, and more so a wacky arcade action style affair. You pick your team and work up through the ranks of a world tournament, competing in matches and minigames as you go. If you make it to the final fight, you take on the champions, the mighty Egyptians. With that in mind, all the teams are pretty funny and have their own special moves and unique members. For example, I naturally picked England, which is helmed by King Arthur, and features the Wizard Merlin and Nimue, the Lady of the Lake, in its ranks. I think that this game is pretty great, and I dare say it's a hidden gem, not to be so easily passed over. I certainly thought this game was surprisingly fun, and if you like what you see, I'd advise checking it out. That's Dodgeball on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Super Buster Move on the PlayStation 2. This is a puzzle game, and has possibly one of the worst cover arts I've seen on PS2, but it is one of few European PS2 games with art on the spine rather than black and white. I get the sense that Taito was desperately trying to appear cool and trendy with this cover, to the point you'd not know it was a fantastic Taito puzzle game from looking at the cover. Well anyway, this is a great puzzle game regardless, known in Japan as Super Puzzle Bobble, where it has box art in line with the actual game. Bubble Bobbles Bub teams up with crazy characters to launch bubbles at various puzzle stages, match coloured bubbles to pop them and clear the screen in time to move on to the next wacky task. Like many puzzle games, this game is easy to play but difficult to master, and increases in challenge as you go. But I do really like this game regardless of the box art, and if you like puzzle games, you might like this too. That's Super Buster Move on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Zombie Zone on the PlayStation 2. This is a hack and slash game, known in Japan as the OneChanbara and originally released as a Simple 2000 series game. This is the first game in this game series, and there is an enhanced version of this game on PS2 called Zombie Hunters, which was known in Japan as the OneChanbara, and is also a simple 2000 series release. Zombie Hunters includes new content, such as 2 new playable characters. Zombie Zone is a silly action game where you play as Aya, a bikini-wearing fencer who draws power from blood touching their skin, hence the outfit apparently. Anyway, your character can swing their sword and kick, but if their weapon gets too bloody, they have to pause to clean it, or they can't attack. You can jump and dodge incoming attacks, but regardless, as you continuously fight, you'll eventually lose control and become berserk, becoming more powerful, but losing health unless you use a limited resource item to end this state. This game can be repetitive as with many hack and slash games, but can also be fun as well. If you are considering picking this up, I'd recommend the updated version Zombie Hunters instead for the extra content. Anyway, that's Zombie Zone on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Cover Girl on the PSP. This is a collection of interactive magazines and minigames. You begin by entering your information and choosing your avatar. Then the game will ask you a series of questions between each magazine, which will actually shape what the next magazine issue will include, which I thought was actually pretty impressive. The minigames are all very simple, but fun in a silly way, and were ironically more playable than a lot of the games in the Max Play unlicensed PS2 collection, and I mean honestly, those Max Play games lagged extremely and often glitched out a lot. Seriously though, Cover Girl is more of a novelty, mostly aimed for girls. Having said that, this game was a little more interesting than I had expected, and for fair warning, there was a lot more lewd content in this game which I obviously didn't show. But anyway, if you want to know how to be a magazine cover girl fashion icon and get top tips like how to know what your man is really thinking, then you want Cover Girl on the PSP. Next up we have Dungeon Siege, Throne of Agony on the PSP. This is a role-playing game. This game series normally would use mouse controls, which is the norm for this series, but this PSP entry departs from that, having you control your character directly, instead of point and click. This game is pretty much exactly what you expect for a high fantasy RPG, with quests to collect, loot to plunder, and monsters to vanquish heroically. Though I do appreciate that the gameplay is more hack and slash, like Untold Legends, for this game, so it can be a little more engaging. Though on the other hand, I could see dedicated fans of this series not vibing the switch to active hack and slash style combat, but I personally feel like it lends itself well to pick up and play for a portable system, where you can quickly delve into dungeons, find treasure and level up your character, then take a break and return to the action later, fresh to cut down more foes. That's Dungeon Siege, Throne of Agony on the PSP. Next up we have The Con on the PSP. This is a fighting game, which is known as Gamble Con Fight in Japan. The story involves an underground fight network and illicit betting. You work your way from petty crook to an underworld crime boss, eliminating everyone and anything that gets in your way. The gameplay includes innovative for the time, dodging and blocking in a 3D environment, and each character has unique special moves and can train up as you progress through the story to become more powerful. There's also an emphasis on betting on the outcome of each fight, win or lose, because if you want to, you can take a dive if the odds are in your favour that way. Either way, your winnings increase your resources that can be used to cover costs of things like the eventual trips to the hospital to patch yourself up, because if you keep fighting hurt, you'll probably have a bad time. You can customize your character and pick the fighting style that suits you as you work your way to the very top. That's The Con on the PSP. Next up we have The Sims 2 on the PSP. This is a role-playing game. That's right, I bet you thought this would be a simulation game. Well, you'd be wrong. The PSP version of The Sims 2 plays completely differently from the norm in the series, and I think it's pretty fantastic. After you make your character, you set out into the world for adventure. Your car breaks down, and you have to sweet talk a mechanic. So, whilst you wait for your car to be repaired, you visit the shop next door, but upon return the entire repair shop has vanished, leaving only a phone in its place. On the other end of the phone, a mysterious contact beckons you to town for a job. Upon returning to the nearby shop, you plead with a lawman for help, but he'll only help you if you find him donuts from the fortune teller inside the shop, which he hid in a trash bin. An odd girl in the shop also sells you her house for pocket change, because she's leaving because she's recently been abducted by aliens. The lawman drives you into town and then asks for your help fending off zombies. When you go into your new home estate, the maid tells you that it's haunted, and you can only rid the ghosts by finding their unfinished business. Does this sound like a normal Sims game? Yeah, it's something really different, and I love it. The direct character control, minigames, social interactions, and story are all very welcome to me in this gameplay, and I truly wish we'd gotten more games like this in this series. This game certainly surprised me, so if you like what you see, you should check this out. That's The Sims 2 on the PSP. Next up we have LEGO Star Wars, the complete saga on the Xbox 360. This is an action-adventure game. LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga combines two previous LEGO Star Wars games, LEGO Star Wars the video game and LEGO Star Wars the original trilogy, into one game, and adds a bunch of new content like new characters and challenges. This game lets you play through 6 Star Wars films in numerical order from episode 1 to 6, and each film is split up into several chapters with an emphasis on revisiting those chapters to obtain hidden bonuses, only obtainable with new characters unlocked through progression later in the game, and using their special skills. All of the films and chapters and many bonus games and challenges can be accessed once unlocked through the game's hub world cantina. And I do think that it's really fun to go back into a previous area with new characters to try to collect everything that wasn't accessible before. With updated graphics, new levels, characters, costumes and customization, this could easily be considered the definitive way to play these games. That's LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga on the Xbox 360. And finally we have LEGO Batman the video game on the Nintendo DS. This is an action-adventure game, and is a handheld adaptation of the home console version of LEGO Batman the video game. The level design and character abilities have been altered in line with the Nintendo DS capabilities, to the point where this version actually plays like a completely different game. And I'd also say that the altered level design is pretty fantastic, though I'm not sure I'm a fan of gimmicks like having to tap the lower touchscreen of the DS to do things like set a bat bomb and detonate it. Regardless, the DS version does play really well, and it also includes an exclusive villain hunting minigame and a bunch of bonus characters like Talia al Ghul and Huntress that were not included in the home console version. If you like the look of this game, or you love the home console release and want to play something like that but different, then check this out. That's LEGO Batman the video game on the Nintendo DS. And there you have it. That's it for this episode of Video Game Pickups. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you'd like to, you can also support me through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. Thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.